Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am your host, Wonka, and I am joined by my co-commentator, Toasty. Welcome to round 3 of the league at Suzuka. Toasty, how are you doing today?
I'm excited for this one, and not just because I'm driving in D1 tonight, but because we have some weather in the mix here, and it's a good track as well. So yeah, looking forward to it, and happy to have you back.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm sure streaming and hosting the lobby was an absolute handful last week, so I'm happy to take that off your hands. How was streaming and hosting at the same time last week, by the way?
Yeah, it was a lot, like you said. Of course, had some technical difficulties last week for D2. I was just wearing too many hats, but we're running on all cylinders, as they say this week around. So yeah, glad to have the D2 stream up and running this time.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was last year. I was trying to do the Academy League all by myself, where I was like hosting, and then also, um, I was hosting and then also running the stream and trying to commentate all at the same time. It was absolutely the most distracting thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
Yeah,
I can hardly even just do like two things at once that are very monotonous, but like doing like commentating, streaming, and then like managing the stream and then also managing the lobby at the same time was just absolutely ridiculous.
yep.
So you did mention earlier that we do have a weather surprise. So this league or this season, sorry, for the league, we decided to use a real weather forecast for the tracks that we'll be using. And this week we have rain at Suzuka, so the rain will officially start with some rain. The qualifying has been set to random weather, so it looks so far to be sunny. But as soon as qualifying is done, the rain will start pouring, and the beginning of the race will start with very wet conditions. So, like you said, Toasty, I'm super excited to see that. I know we had some rain last week, so it'll be interesting to see how our drivers and teams will handle the rain this time around.
Yeah, definitely. And I think does Division 2 also have the wet tires only, or do they have intermediates allowed?
I do not know, actually. Um, I would imagine that Dinosaur has the same settings for both lobbies, but I guess we'll find out once the race starts.
Oh, yep,
I,
I found it. So wet tires only, no intermediates.
all right,
That
there
throws
you have it.
another complication in there for. I mean, it makes the strategy a bit easier because then it's not the case of when is a good time to put on inters. It's just when do I want wets? When do I want dries?
That is true. I kind of like that too, where we've simplified the rain race strategy. I think it's a little unlucky if like it starts raining and then you switch to inters and then it starts pouring. You got to pit again and then switch to wets. It's it's I guess there's more of a luck factor involved when that happens,
Yeah,
and I'd rather see like less of that. Like if someone jumping onto wets right away provides to be a huge advantage. It's just kind of like a lucky call. It's not like it was an amazing strategic decision, but at the same time, like the decision to going on wets in the first place could just be a matter of luck as it is. It could only rain for a couple laps, and then people who switch over to wets kind of just get shafted for the rest of the race.
yeah. I mean, we do also run the virtual safety car, and anytime that is called, then a lot of the field end up feeling like they're losing some sort of advantage while others gain quite a bit. So it
Hmm.
could be just the fact that the timing on that, and as well as like when when people get lucky on the tire call versus the strategy, and then the VSC could even it out. Yeah, neutralize it. It just
Yep.
depends on how it goes.
So let's take a look quickly, or let's just briefly talk about the Division 2 standings at the moment. So as of now, we have provisional results for the Division 1 and 2 drivers and teams because we're not actually done with the racing incidents and penalties for last week. We've been a little bit behind schedule, but as of now, the current team in the lead is Hoonigan Honey's Racing BMW. They're currently in first place with 54 points. We've got Full Throttle Fajitas Toyota in second place with 42 points. Then Benefactor Racing AMG in third place with 26 points. So pretty tight between pretty tight between third, fourth, and fifth. So Mystic Maple Porsche Racing A, and then Fabulous Killjoy Motorsports Renault, both are a mouthful, are tied at fourth place with 23 points. And then we got Azul Racing Audi, Team.com Ford in sixth place, and then Team Azul Racing Audi in seventh. Whew, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a few long team names there.
All right, so Dinosaur has initiated qualifying. We will be starting the qualifying process for the next, I believe it is 10 minutes. Yep.
So Kilopro's in the 92 BMW there of Hoonigan Honeys for HHR. Finished sixth place last week at Spa. They had a 1-6 finish with ES Love winning that race. ES Love also getting the fastest lap, so that's where a lot of their points have been coming from the Division 2 as well. They're doing well in both divisions, really.
Yeah, and Hoonigan Honey is a returning team from season 2, I believe. Season 2, yeah.
Yeah.
They finished. Oh man, I have to pull up the LRC like archives for this one. Let's see here.
I think they won the overall in season 2. They
Season
had the 2 RX
2
Visions and the Mazda Tenza, I think, in
So they won. Season 2, they got second place overall. Avanti Corsa Honda ended up winning the second season.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so as we get started, we got Cecil Turtle leading the field. Cecil leading the charge for Benefactor Racing AMG. You can see the Renault of Kip Dunkel in the review mirror of Cecil Turtle's cockpit there. Getting a little close through the S's of Suzuka. Would be a little nerve-wracking to see that while you're trying to hot lap. You know, the car behind you getting real close, putting the pressure on. But it's still a little early. We're 3 minutes in to qualifying, so plenty of time for hot laps in the future and improvements.
Yeah, Cecil went a little bit wide through the anti-banked curve, the end of the S curves or the snake, whichever you want to call it, before deadlock. So lost a little bit of time there. Part of why Kip Dunkel is so close now.
Kip Dunkel, Sam is giving him a little bit of a bump draft going into Spoon. I think Kip goes a little wide there at the exit of Spoon. Will potentially pick up a penalty. I don't know if the track limits are at the exit of Spoon. We'll see if that's the case. It looks good so far.
Was that Dinosaur there giving
Yeah,
him a
it's
little
Dinosaur.
bump?
Dinosaur giving, yeah, Kim Dunkel a little bit of a bump through the Casio triangle. So Dinosaur, so Soul Shock ends up with the fastest lap, or lap 1, or maybe I guess lap 3 technically. Killer Pros jumps up to the top with a 2:02.590.
Wow, 6,000s. Grizzle now at the top, just ahead of Killer Pros.
And then B-Ship jumped up into 5th place. So good to see B-Ship back. See, B-Ship is subbing for, I believe it is Yank the Tank for Azul Racing Audi.
Lou had a great finish last week at Spa. Will Grizzle and Lou finishing 3rd and 4th place. So back to back, pretty close to each other on track, only 5 seconds apart at the end. So they were sticking together and almost pushing each other along at points at the end of that race.
I love the team aspect to this. Like, it adds so much of an interesting dynamic in the racing than just like a traditional, you know, driver standing league that most people run.
Right.
So it's such a great, like, yeah, it's such a great dynamic where you can work together with someone on the track, but then also the relationship that the drivers have with the D1 drivers also that serve as kind of like coaches for them. So
yeah,
it's really exciting to see drivers, like Killer Pros is a good example. So drivers improve between seasons as well. So Killer Pros, I think his first debut season was, I think, season 3 or maybe even 4, and then him coming back and, you know, hitting up the finishing up in like the top, I don't know, 6 is like definitely a huge achievement for him in terms of improvement.
Yeah, definitely. Like his teammate just put in a very quick time there, 2:01.1, currently 1.4 seconds ahead of 2nd place. Those tires they don't look that old, so I wonder if he might have been even at the end of his outlap and just grabbed some new tires and got back out there.
It's also possible he maybe just reset on the first outlap or something, just decided to get into clean air. Yeah. I tend to do that sometimes too when I'm qualifying and there's like the track is busy and there's like a gap. I'll just reset the car and just come back out.
Nice. The Renault's getting out of the way nicely there.
B-Ship diving out of the way there.
Yeah, getting out of the way in a different way, but
yeah.
Amazing how fast the Group 3 cars can take 130R. It's not quite flat, but it's a bit of a lift. Oh, he needed a bit more of a lift there on the exit of Casio Triangle. Early on the throttle.
Yeah, the back of the car just escaped him just ever so slightly on the exit there. Oh, and Lou picks up a 3-second penalty for crossing the pit lane. entry, or a big pit lane exit, excuse me. And then Jacob jumps up into second place with a 2:02.089. Still, though, not only, but still about a second behind Dieslov. So Dieslov, with a dominating performance in qualifying so far, separating himself from the rest of the field by a pretty large margin.
I'm looking forward to see how the mid-engine and rear-engine cars stack up to the other layouts. That didn't look good.
Yeah. I focused like away from him as soon as he started losing control.
Yeah,
So Degner 2 is
say,
a... Oh, go ahead.
With the tire wear, this is a track that uses up a lot of front tires, so it's very much front tire limited. When you have a car that usually uses up a lot of rear tires in comparison to the fronts, like the Ford or the Porsche, then around here, the tires end up wearing nice and evenly. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic.
Yeah.
You see once in a while at sometimes tracks like this that have a lot of heavy front tire wear. The car that uses a lot of rear tires naturally.
Yep.
So their race pace could end up being more consistent. They could bring the tires a lap or two further than other cars might, and then that's down to setup too, of course.
Yeah, and you can kind of see it on the front engine rear wheel drive cars, like the Toyota, I think Killa Pros. You can see the tire wear is slightly uneven between the front and the rears. The front being, worn down ever so slightly more. Then you got the mid-engine cars. It looks a little bit more even for sure. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out, and if that is a huge to marginal advantage for these cars. But there's also the factor of rain too, so it's possible that these cars might have an advantage in the rain due to the added weight on the rear tires. So we'll see if that plays into the overall results that of the D2 race after it rains.
Dinosaur currently in third place. It looks like pretty much everyone's done with their lap now. The cars that have crossed the line just cruising around. Dinosaur saying earlier today that he doesn't really excel at pushing the car to its limits and getting some good qualifying results, starting in third place.
I feel like that's Dinosaur for you, kind of like sandbagging. And then when it comes to the actual qualifying, like boom. Although I don't remember what his qualifying performance was the first two races. I think they were fairly okay, right?
Yeah, I think he started in the second row somewhere in Daytona, but Daytona is his favorite track, but I think Suzuka might be a close second.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's take a look at the qualifying results. So Dieslov takes pole position, but does not separate himself from the entire field as large as we thought he would. So Kip Dunkel in second, starting in second, excuse me, with only 0.3 of a second behind Dieslov's fastest lap. So not a huge amount of separation. And then Dinosaur only about 1/100th slower than Kip Dunkel. So Kip Dunkel and Dinosaur have a pretty close pace for fastest lap. Then we got Little Jacob in fourth, while Grizzle in fifth, Killa Pros in sixth place, and then Soul Shock VR all within 2 seconds of the leader. Bishop in eighth, Liu in ninth, Cecil Turtle starting in 10th place, Luke Fubar, and Matsuki in 11th and 12th, and then Lamb King and Token Timmy starting in the last row of the grid. But we will see how rain changes everything. So qualifying might be, pretty straightforward, but it all depends on whether or not these drivers are skilled in the rain and know how to take the wet line and handle the track conditions, especially if they start drying after the first set of the weather block in GT7. So I think we have um 10 or 9 weather blocks in this race. Let's see here. Uh yeah, 9. And I believe only the first one is rain. So very quickly, if the random blocks that follow the rain are not rain, the track could start drying almost immediately. So
Yeah,
we'll see how that plays out.
yeah, that could definitely play into the strategy based on how long each dry tire stint they can stretch it really, and then they can kind of divide up the remaining laps into its own little strategy race, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the cool things that I really like about GT7 is some of the small details it takes to keep your tires cool once it starts drying. So, in a lot of racing series, you'll see as a dry line starts to appear, a lot of cars on wet tires will often drive on the wet line down the straights to cool off their tires. And that's something that very much applies in GT7. And you'll find that, excuse me, you'll find that cooling your tires off with the wet line will often extend the life of your wet tires or even intermediate tires. But in this case, there are no intermediate tires, so it's just strictly the wets. So it's going to be even more important to make sure you cool off the tires as the track starts drying.
Yeah, very cool detail.
And recently, in the last update for GT7, they did change the racing physics, the wet weather physics, just ever so slightly. So one of the things they changed was the grip difference between the dry line and the wet line when it's raining, and it seems like they've increased the grip of the dry line in wet weather conditions, which I don't really have much of an opinion on it. I think what it was before seemed pretty accurate. And I did some testing out today, and it seemed like it was still relatively a pretty big difference between the wet line and the dry line under wet conditions. So maybe they
Yeah,
just made it just ever so slightly more grippy, but it doesn't seem to make that big of a difference in what I've tested.
just a subtle enough difference for it to be in the patch notes, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like they're such perfectionists when it comes to these things. They'll like tweak the smallest minute details and tweak them so ever so slightly, but then include them in the patch notes. Like they'll say like, oh, we tweaked this metallic paint color to be slightly more orange than yellow, because it was like slightly too orange or something. Yeah, it's just like it's
Yeah,
crazy the insane amount of detail they go into their fixes.
I guess we could take a look at the weather radar, if we want to
Oh
see
yeah,
the
let's take a look. I forgot about this feature.
yeah. So this is showing an hour before, now going to 30 minutes before it's rained quite a bit, so we're gonna see some standing water on the track.
Oh wow, look at that. That's a
Looks like it.
huge
Yeah,
cloud.
it went away a bit and then came back.
Oh, so at the moment right now, it's not currently raining, but it did rain.
Yeah,
And yeah, like I wonder if we're gonna see another massive rain cloud again, like the ones that just passed. So there was one 30 minutes ago that was huge, and then one 15 minutes ago that was also pretty large. All right. That's so cool. I'm so glad they added that.
yeah. Still think it would be nice to go from like 30 minutes before to 15 minutes in the forecast though. That would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can plan things out a little bit.
So we got the 2-minute warning from Dinosaur. It's currently waiting for our drivers to ready up. And then we'll get racing very shortly after that.
Yeah, I saw some of the drivers there taking the valuable break time to put in some time on the track when it's wet like this, where they get their braking points right for the start.
Yeah, that is absolutely crucial to even have like an outlap worth of data in terms of how the track feels in terms of grip. So anyone who's taking advantage of that is very very smart at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like doing an outlap to the grid before a formation lap in real life.
That's true. Yeah, it would. I would enjoy it if like GT7 did do more sim like things like that. You know, like simulate going onto the track, simulating a formation lap. I mean, I understand the appeal of making it. You know, you jump in right away and you start racing because it's just really really convenient. Even iRacing a lot of times like don't a lot of the races you don't even do like a formation lap or anything like that. Do any of the games that have like an actual formation lap or like a an out lap to like sit
Uh,
on the grid? Like I don't think I've ever seen that before in a racing game.
so I know in F1 single player at least you can drive to the grid and or maybe not drive to the grid but a formation lap. And then ACC you can do formation laps.
That's
It
right.
has all these different sorts of settings for fine tuning the formation lap, how long you want it to go for, if it's like just the last corner or the full lap kind of thing.
I had a very funny first ACC race experience where I didn't understand like the tire sets, and you know how like when you load a setting on ACC it like sets the tire setting. So
Oh yeah.
basically what I did was I practiced with tire set 1 and that was saved in my preset, and then I
Oh no.
qualified with tire set 2. So I practice was 45 minutes. I was practicing 45 minutes with tire set 1, and then I
Yep.
qualified with tire set 2. And then I was like, okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna reload my setting just to make sure I have
Yep.
everything in place because I had like a different qualifying setting. And then it put back the tire set number 1. So I started the race
Oh
with like
no.
45-minute old tires, and I had to run the
Yeah.
whole race with just these insanely used tires, and I was just driving on ice the entire time. It was really really funny.
Oh man.
The opening lap, I was like, something is wrong with my car. Like it doesn't want to like it's not turning. All right, so Dinosaur has initiated the race. We'll join the grid very shortly.
Yeah, ACC, very steep learning curve, not nearly as plug and play. Hopefully some spray is going to be happening in turn 1, but not raining like we said earlier.
All right, the lights are green and the action starts now. So D-Slub gets a good start. Kip Dunkel pretty close behind. With these rolling starts, the action is a little bit more tame, and seeing as there's rain, there's actually no rain, but the track is wet. Our drivers are a little bit more conservative. Kip Dunkel there taking a quick peek into the S's, but D-Slub covers him off in the entrance, and then obviously the rain makes it a lot more difficult to pass here. Sorry, having trouble with my keyboard there.
GoPro's looking for what's going to turn into the outside line for Degda. Grizzle just closing the door there. Back the racing line. Kotsky getting very sideways between the Degna curves there. Like everyone has gotten through cleanly up to this point. Well done by the drivers there.
Judging based off of the initial lobby settings when they got reset, the sun came out pretty quickly. So I think the weather plays out the same when you restart the lobby and then you start the race. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. So if that's true, that means we're gonna see like the sun come out like lap 2 or 3, and then the track will get dry fairly quickly.
I don't think this was going to be the same just because the lobby was reset. But I think what Dinosaur does is he kind of simulates the Saturday and Sunday like a weekend, so he has a different settings, different lobby settings for qualifying for the race. But we'll see what happens as McDuckle looking for the inside, tucks back into the slipstream. Another look, thinks about it, but doesn't go for the lunge there into turn 1.
Yeah, everyone's being very conservative, understandably, on track right now. So I would be too. Passing on the offline going into turn 1 is very sketchy side by side when the track is not completely dry. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play when making these decisions. Like, you could, for instance, try to go on the outside because it might have more grip in the rain. But at the same time, like, if the person on the inside understeers and slides out, it could potentially ruin your race. And that's like, is that something you want to risk? You know, it's just like so many like details and things to consider in a matter of like milliseconds. You know. That's what I love about racing in the rain so much.
Dinosaur loves racing in the rain. I bet he's wishing there was more of it right now.
I think ever since season 1, when they won like the opening race with Team Bahamut in the rain, like they I think
oh right,
that was yeah, I think that was their calling basically.
Yeah.
And Will Grizzle takes a look down on the inside of Dinosaur going into 130R, and are they gonna keep it tidy? Oh, and Dinosaur goes out wide. Will Grizzle understeers a little bit, and then Killer Pros takes advantage of the situation and makes the pass on both of them. Oh, but then he goes deep and almost crashes into the tire wall there, losing the positions that he just gained and giving it right back to Dinosaur and Will Grizzle. So they're literally right back where they started out, and he loses another position to Lou. Oh my goodness. Killpro is gaining 2 positions and then losing 3.
I will say though, he did really well to keep it out of the barriers after going deep, because that green surface It's like the dark green AstroTurf at Spa. It's extremely slippery, and how he didn't even spin the car, I don't know.
Yeah, he did a really great job there for keeping it out of the barrier.
Very difficult to go side by side through 130R in the dry, let alone changing conditions like this. You can see the front tires on Wilkersel's car starting to burn up quite a bit already. The rain meter in the bottom left there in the lower third already, so drivers probably already thinking about switching to slick tires if they can't get another lap out of these.
So Jacob just comes out of the pit on racing mediums and falls into the trap where on the exit pit lane, or the pit lane exit is way more slippery than the dry line on the straight. So anyone who's going to be making their pit stop in this lap will come across the same challenge, and hopefully they will know that's the case when they're exiting the pits.
Yeah. Well, that was Token Timmy there, so little Jacob in 8th place
sorry.
still on,
Yep.
on the wet tires, I think.
So Pulse 100 Racing asked, does GT7 account for track wear like that in the rain? GT7 kind of does a more simplistic model of the difference between grip between the dry line and the wet line in the rain. It's not as advanced as iRacing's physics system. Okay, so our drivers jump into the pit. I would imagine everyone is going to make a pit stop. So yeah, so far the entire grid jumping into the pit lane as we speak. Cecil Turtle though stays out. So Cecil must have made a pit stop in the last lap and now takes the lead by a huge margin.
Oh yeah.
And Lamb King Lamb King stays out on wet tires to attempt an overcut. And so D Slove comes out back, still in front. Kip Dunkel and Dinosaur all in the same order. But Cecil Turtle, what a jump! That's an awesome strategy there.
They must have pit on the same lap as Token Timmy, but were ahead at that point. And yeah, let's see. So on the right, it looks like they would have pit at the end of lap 3. This would be their out lap if that was the case. So at the end of lap 2, maybe. That is very early.
Yeah, that is very
I don't know how
early.
they kept it on the track, but they did, and yeah, it paid off. High risk, high reward. We were talking earlier about when the track does dry out, how many laps do you have left, and how few pit stops can you fit into that? Is the mental math game that a lot of the drivers are trying to figure out at the moment.
So Lamb King struggling right now on those wets as Dinosaur, Kip Dunkel, and D Slove make their way by. It's a bit tricky in these conditions because the drivers on the slicks need to make passes that typically are off the dry line. So at this point, Dinosaur clips the inside of the curb there at 130R and manages to keep the car on track. You can see he got a tire or two on the wet side of the track, and I was, as soon as I saw that, I thought he was gonna be gone, basically.
Yeah. And the curbs stay wet for quite a while after a big rain like that, so they'll have to alter their driving line to not use any curbs, basically, for several laps here until they're dry enough to put a couple tires on and not kick the car sideways. We're seeing the lap times slowly drop down, so 2-minute 10.1 fastest lap right now by Cecil, and then the qualifying time was a pole was a 2:01, I think. So still a ways to go for the track condition, but they're quickly getting there.
Well, Grizzle goes a little wide into the hairpin, leaving the door potentially open for little Jacob to capitalize on the moment.
Oh, little Jacob on the soft tires. Whoa, bit of a bump there. The corner of the Toyota.
Yeah, so this is a battle of softer tires versus mediums. Little Jacob needs to make the pass as soon as possible to, take advantage of the soft tires for the rest of his stint.
There's definitely a spot in the track where we would have been able to go for the pass, but because the offline is still wet, like we were saying, there's just this narrow band of where you can drive. It makes overtaking a lot more difficult like this. In a couple laps, of course, that band is gonna continue to get wider, but I'm imagining little Jacob doesn't want to have to wait for that long. Looks like second through third are in a big group as well.
Oh, they make a little bit of contact at the end of the S's. Well, Grizzle getting a little bit loose in the exit there. And then Jacob on the outside, or now the inside of Degner 1, and makes the pass with a little bit of contact going through Degner 1 and clean through Degner 2. That was very, very, very sketchy, but he managed to keep it on track.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of door bump in there, but I don't know if it was enough to throw each other off their line that they were trying to go for. 10th now, battling a three-way battle here between these teams.
So it looks like Kip Dunkel got past Eastlove at a certain point. Missed that overtake, unfortunately.
Is Kip running softs right now?
Let's see. He's running mediums, yeah.
Oh.
What about Cecil? So Cecil is running mediums as well. So Cecil's running an average of like 2 minutes. So Cecil's last lap was his fastest. His PB is 2:07.1. Kip was at 2:03, so they're catching up very quickly to Cecil.
Yeah, I do wonder if Cecil is fuel saving though, and these three aren't.
Well, let's take a look. So yeah, he is saving quite a bit of fuel actually. He's almost got like a quarter of a tank more. More like an eighth or a sixth more than Kip, D-Slub, and Dinosaur. Dinosaur is saving a little bit more than Kip and D-Slub at the moment, so Dinosaur may be strategically staying behind these two and coasting just so that he can maybe eventually leapfrog them in the pits, since the refuel time is 3 liters per second, I believe. So it's a quarter of a tank will probably be quarter of a tank difference will probably be 8 seconds. That's quite a bit of time saved.
Yeah, it's like every third of a tank is 11 seconds about, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so Cecil, I was gonna say Cecil might actually be doing a really interesting strategy where he saves fuel and then tries to keep these cars behind him as much as possible to slow him down.
Yeah.
As I say that, D-Slub takes the inside of Kip Dunkel, looking to take that position back through 130R, but decides to back out, and Kip Dunkel keeps the position, and Dinosaur remains behind the two of them, not looking to stir things up at the moment.
Kip Dunkel all over the exit curve of 130R, nearly losing it. I saw the car wobble quite a bit there as he was getting back onto the track.
Yeah.
Love just moving to the inside there.
Oh my God.
Dinosaur holding on to it. I don't think he expected the S-Love to move back to the racing line just before the corner there, and just lifted a bit earlier or quicker than the Porsche might have liked.
We got some action here between Killer Pros, Lou, and I believe that's Soulshock VR. Yep. Going through the S's. Cecil Turtle feeling the pressure now. Kip Dunkel right behind him, coming out of the hairpin.
This is the point where, when you're on a conservative strategy of one less stop, questioning if you're doing the right thing, because the other cars will quickly catch up to you and soon be passed. It's like doesn't flying past him just yet, so that plan of his might be working here to save fuel, keep him behind as long as you can, and then...
Oh, careful there. Kip Dunkel almost losing the car and loses out on the position against D-Slub. And Dinosaur wants to get on the action too, but Kip Dunkel closes that door as quickly as possible. But D-Slub is able to retake the position. And now D-Slub is looking to overtake Cecil on the front straight. Looks to the inside. Cecil looking to defend as much as possible. They hit door to door, make a little bit of contact going into turn one, and they stay side by side. Cecil Turtle getting a little bit of ahead. Oh my God, but they keep it relatively clean. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what's
Cecil Turtle.
Cecil isn't using any more fuel at this point. He's continuing to shift early and just placing the car where he feels like is the best way to keep those behind. Oh yeah, a bit more contact there.
Oh my God, it's getting very sketchy now.
He's looking to me on the inside, getting the blue flag.
Oh no, and D-Slub gets distracted, or maybe tries to avoid Token Timmy there going into the hairpin, and then understeers off into the inside of the hairpin and lost 2 positions. Or sorry, 3 positions. He's behind Dinosaur now. And Cecil Turtle stays in the lead, so Cecil doing a really good job right now and defending with his life right now. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if he realizes if he needs to defend this much. He's on a different strategy at this point, I would imagine, so he's already held them up quite a bit. But any more he can hold them up is just going to be more and more beneficial to his strategy, so...
Yeah, especially if Kip, Dinosaur, and D-Slub end up fighting with each other. So, props to Cecil Turtle for getting his elbows out. But he also needs to be a little cautious because his moves are pretty aggressive, and the last thing that he wants right now is to get spun out by the cars behind him by, you know, making too many movements while ahead of the car in front. And as you can see in the background there, the clouds are getting really dark, so we might get some more rain in the mix. I really hope to see some more rain. This is going to be really interesting to see when people pit and if Cecil Turtle can nail the strategy twice in the race.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of sun out earlier, drying the track quickly, but now quite gray again.
So little Jacob now is in the mix. So we have almost gonna I think in a few couple turns we're gonna have a 5-way battle for the lead. The Cecil train right now.
Grizzle's right there too in 6th though. Very close between the top half of the grid right now.
So let's take a look at the fuel difference. So Cecil's at about half, and Kip is about a third of fuel left, or a third of a tank left. Oh, and Kip Dunkel is trying to squeeze, or Cecil's trying to squeeze. They got 3 wide through 130R. Oh my God,
goodness.
Dinosaur takes the inside. I don't know where Kip Dunkel went, but they go 3 wide again, and this time Jacob comes out of nowhere and takes the lead. Oh my God. What a race.
I've never seen Group 3 cars or any cars go into the 130R, let alone all 3 come out still with body panels on their car.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm extremely impressed right now that we have not seen an incident so far. Look at this. And then Jacob and Cecil right now are going side by side through the S's. Jacob trying to keep it on track, and Cecil takes back the position. Oh my God. Cecil Turtle.
Jacob got ahead momentarily, but those tires have fallen off the cliff now, those softs. The tire wear might be more even than the front engine cars, but only so many laps you can take them before they don't give you any more grip.
Yeah, and you can see Jacob right there struggling with the understeer at Degner 2, losing out on the position. So he went from first, now in 5th. I'm gonna shoot back to a replay real quick to see Jacob coming through from 130R. Yeah, and they go 3 wide into the Casio triangle. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness. It's
crazy.
absolute insanity.
Like when we cut back there, Will Grizzle was very wide through Moon, I think.
Alright, so
DS Lug now trying to get past Cecil.
Cecil there doing a great job of taking the inside and defending through 130R. Cecil Turtle is yeah, he's doing a really good job of placing his car very, very well in terms of defending. So going into the Casio triangle, he sticks to the inside through 130R and makes it very difficult for anyone to make that pass on the outside.
Lap 12 now. We think that Cecil hit on the end of lap 2. So 10 laps from then, still manages to be in the lead. And is saving quite a bit of fuel as well, so Wonder how Will Gristle got into 5th place. I think got past somehow, or maybe they both got in front of. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
I think
Oh, look at
Wilkersel
that.
and Jacob were like 5th and 6th, and then Jacob had to go pit.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Oh, there's a little bit of contact there that makes Cecil understeer off of Spoon. I don't know if that would be something contestable, but Dinosaur slides through on the inside through the exit of Spoon, and now Cecil Turtle finds himself in 3rd place.
Yeah, look at that 4th through 7th all Canadian. Yeah, that contact at the entry of Spoon there, it looked like maybe Cecil just didn't know how far on the inside DS Love was. Just kind of turned in. But yeah, if that's submitted to the stewards, then we'll have several camera angles to go off of there. They make any decision.
Nice little defensive move there by Cecil by squeezing Kip to the inside as much as possible, and then last minute moving out to the outside to get that nice radius into turn 1. There was a little bit of door banging heading into it though, but nothing illegal.
Yeah, Cecil's definitely been putting up some aggressive defensive maneuvers, but if they're within the rules, they're within the rules, you know?
Yeah, it's certainly
hasn't been making more than one move per section of track or anything like that, so
yeah. It's certainly a risk that he's willing to take on, you know, like if he's banging doors ever so slightly with, you know, the cars next to him, there's a risk that maybe he does it when the car is like slightly ahead or slightly behind, and that's when incidents can happen. And of course, you know, pushing the car off the track, not giving them enough space is also, I would say, an infraction. But he goes off a little wide there, and then Kip Dunkel looks to overtake him going into Casio corner, but oh, Cecil bumps into him, and it looks like he concedes a position. And that allows... Oh no, it looks like the guy... Oh no.
they're both trying to go into the pits.
Yeah. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh, that's one of those situations where you just have to slow down. Like if there's a car on your inside that you don't know if they're gonna go into the pits or not, you just gotta let that car go.
After Cecil pitting there for new tires, didn't need much fuel really, so not much time spent in the pits refueling the car. Yes, Love, on the other hand, probably gonna need to pit at the end of this lap for fuel, and Dinosaur has a lot more on board right now.
Yeah, Dinosaur looking good to take the net lead of the race with quite a bit of fuel left, some decent tire wear. I think Dinosaur did a good job managing his tires and fuel behind the pack that was like the first 5 cars behind the turtle train.
Yeah, he was just sitting back there, coasting into corners and trying to minimize the steering angle through all the corners, keeping the tires alive. And there's another example of the even tire wear between the mid-engine and front-engine cars. We saw it with Jacob. His tires were pretty much exactly even until they were completely gone. So
Yeah, and if you look at that in comparison to Dieslov's BMW, you can see that the front tires have considerable amount of more wear than the rears. So certainly a limiting factor. And Dinosaur stays out. So Dinosaur looking to make the overcut and keep the lead after this first round of pit stops, not counting the wet weather, the wet to dry transition. So we'll see where Dieslov comes out in relation to Cecil Turtle. I think Cecil might have an advantage here because he did spend less time refueling, and that's quite a bit of time. Again, it's 3 liters per second. So Cecil makes his way past the pit exit. So does Bishop, actually. So Bishop still needing to make a pit stop, but Bishop's got a good amount of fuel left. Soul Shock jumps up into 4th.
I think Bishop was one of the cars that pit 1 lap later than everyone else. Kept going on the softs, and then later onto the mediums, so that might explain the a little bit more fuel in the tank there.
Oh no, I think little Jacob might have made a mistake in the pits. He has no fuel. So I'm thinking, did Jacob pit earlier and must have mistakenly not taken any fuel? I think that's a pretty big possibility.
Maybe took some fuel, but not enough. Maybe was going for a short stint like Cecil is now. Cecil only fueled up to just over half the tank and put on some new soft tires.
We got the Azul Racing Team right now. Going 3 wide with little Jacob down to the 130R. We'll see how this turns out.
He gets through.
He gets through,
He gets through before the corner. Wow.
I think Bishop backed off quite a bit before the corner to avoid any sort of hairy situation there.
Yeah, Soul Shock gets him back though into the chicane.
Yeah, and there goes little Jacob into the pits once more.
Still interesting nonetheless.
I think this is the most amount of 3 wide we've ever seen in the history of LRC in a race.
Yeah, and it's at a track where you never see it.
Yep. Pretty intense dive there by Will Grizzle going into turn 1.
Yeah. It was well alongside at the turn-in point, so no issue there. Outbrakes the Audi on the very worn tires.
Yeah, maybe Will Grizzle had noticed that Bishop has been struggling in the past few corners and was feeling confident that he could make the move.
I'm not sure where Dinosaur is on the track right now. He might be going into Casio Triangle. Yeah, there he is.
Yep.
So he'll definitely have to pit right here.
Oh, he's got 1 more lap.
Oh.
All right.
I wouldn't have taken that car another lap, but maybe he has a plan.
Yeah, let's hope he has enough fuel for another lap.
Yeah, very little tire left, and gonna have to do some aggressive fuel saving there.
Yeah, we'll see if it plays off. He's currently 33 seconds in front of 32 now in front of Cecil, and you can see that dropping quite a bit as time goes on. but he's not losing a significant like amount. It looks I like he was losing like a tenth here or there. And he's losing quite a bit around the exit of the Dunlop curve.
Yeah, I'm sure he's calculated the fuel burn percent per lap on a dry track, so he's probably not worried about it. But it looks a bit more dramatic than it is, I guess.
Yeah, the issue is on an on an in lap this risky and this like on the edge, you end up losing a couple of seconds and it might destroy the advantage that he had in the beginning. So we'll see where he ends up in relation to Cecil Turtle. Seeing
Yeah,
that
I mean,
it's only 30 seconds, it's possible Cecil might come out in front just simply because Dinosaur has to change tires and fuel. If he fuels maybe halfway or so, I don't know what the delta is for the pit lane here. I don't know if it's that short or long.
right. I think Dinosaur might have had to do this might have had to do one more lap here in order to do one less stop. Might be the case. So he might still be ahead.
Yeah,
Cecil might have to do 2 more stops.
that is true.
Comes into the pit at 1% fuel, so well
Yeah, it's
calculated there.
crazy. So Kip came out where similar to D-Slove, so both of them fueled about 3/4 of a tank, put on the racing mediums. Bishop's got some front end damage.
Yeah, looking at the state of the tires there on that Audi, I think he might have lost the car somewhere because of the tire wear and bumped a barrier.
All right, so Dinosaur's exiting the pits. Yeah, he is likely to take this to the end, so he feels almost all the way back up, making a tiny bit of contact with Kip there into turn 1. But yeah, Dinosaur now in a great position to potentially win this race. He's only 20 seconds behind Cecil, the current race leader. And if Cecil has to make another pit stop, that's going to be well above that 20-second gap. So Dinosaur looking strong right now if he can take it to the end.
Yeah, I think if Cecil was on mediums at this point, then he'd be in a really good position, but half gone softs already. He needs to make at least one more pit stop.
And I think also if wet tires are involved in the race, then the requirement that the cars have to use the two different slick compounds goes away. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's how it was last season. Yeah, last season. I imagine it would be the same. Dinosaur, I was gonna say sticking right to the back of Dunkel, but it's on past there. Every time we see Kip behind a car going through 130R, the dirty air seems to really affect that car because it doesn't seem to be able to stick to the racing line behind a car like that.
Yeah, he does seem to understeer quite a bit mid and late corner.
that Mercedes is eating the front tires. Look at that.
Yeah, Sussel's gonna have to make another pit stop within a lap or two. And he is starting to feel that. You could see his entry into the hairpin going deep and understeering quite a bit. Almost hitting like an early apex.
Yeah. Yeah, the front just sliding across the track there, and car pushing forward.
So Killer Pros right now is gonna have to make a pit stop soon. Dieslove is in a good position, I think, but I don't think Dieslove has enough to go to the end.
Yeah, that's likely gonna be a short soft tire stint at the end to finish the race.
Yep. Makes his way past his teammate Killer Pros. Killer Pros will likely make the pit stop and go to the end. The one risk that Dinosaur has with going with a one stopper is that if it does start to rain, everyone will have to make a pit stop again. The benefit though that he has is that he doesn't have to add fuel while other people do. So
Right.
as of now, it looks like he's in the clear, but you know, the weather in GT7 can change pretty drastically. So hopefully for Dinosaur's sake, the weather holds. And
I'm really surprised that... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm really surprised that Killer Bros went another lap with those front tires. They're gonna
that's
be
crazy.
completely gone. Gonna get halfway around the track and they're both gonna be completely red.
Yeah, and I would say at that point, like, it's not like he was in Dinosaur's situation where you needed to extend the lap to, you know, make it to the end of the race. At this point, it seems like completely unnecessary to go an additional lap instead of just pitting at that point. Unless if he really wants to use soft tires and try to take soft tires to the end, but even then, like, I don't see why that would be beneficial. They only seem to last. Yeah, they don't seem to last more than 10 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, despite Killer Pros' situation, it's still a very strong performance for Hoonigan Honey's racing.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Let's take a look at Kip. So Kip will likely have to make a pit stop too. So Kip is kind of like in the same boat as Dieslove. Or Dieslove. Wogrizzle is set to go to the end. And Wogrizzle's in a pretty good position too. So if Wogrizzle is good to go to the end and is only 35 seconds behind the leader, that will put Wogrizzle potentially in a podium position.
Yeah.
Depending on how much, you know, depending on how much Dieslove needs to, you know, fuel and how much that pit stop will take him.
Yeah. And his teammate Lou right behind him. So it doesn't look like a similar strategy though, so
Yeah.
not quite a repeat of last week, but Grizzle's got a good chance for a podium for sure. So Cecil, Turtle in the pits, Killer Pros as well. Cecil might have just exited, yeah. So maybe going back to the conservative approach for this stint of fuel saving. Might have to fuel save with only that much fuel in the car. Yeah, short shifting quite a bit. Like.
It's funny how at the beginning of this race, it was just like everyone is tightly packed. We had like 3 trains going on. and it was very much a positional game, and now it's turned into more of like a strategy game, and the
Yeah,
cars are all more spread out.
yeah, it's interesting to see that dynamic when a race evolves like that. It's like when the first pit stops happen, everyone can see each other's hand of strategy pretty much, and then people start driving differently to respond to that. Tires are a little Jacob on right now.
Like mediums, so they're worn down quite a bit though. I think it will be a challenge for him to take it to the end.
Yeah. The fuel looks good though. It looks like if he went in for softs towards the end, he could do like a splash and dash type of thing. Matsky and Lamb King both for the end have some tires on the car that are in good condition, so strip with damage on the front again. It looks like that might have happened towards the beginning of a stint, and that's never good to have damage at the beginning of a stint because it's
Yeah.
then a question of, well, do I hit again and fix it so I'm not losing time the entire stint? But then that takes a whole lot of time, so yeah, that's a difficult
Yeah.
situation there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's like one of those like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly. But as this battle is going on, you have Dunkel in the pits now. And that Renault looks like he went in with medium tires and about 39–40% fuel. And it looks like he's got fuel there, so we'll see if he comes out ahead of these. Yep.
Yeah, you can see him just down.
There.
Yeah, just down the straightaway.
Kip definitely has enough fuel to just push flat out to the end, see if he can overtake anyone by then who's on a more conservative strategy, having a fuel save.
Yeah, Luke looks pretty sketchy with those tires. I think Luke will have to make another pit stop. Let's see, SoulShock VR looks like SoulShock will run out of fuel, so SoulShock still needs to do another pit stop. Same with Lou. I think his tires are gonna be. You're gonna, if he carries those to the end, I'll be very, very impressed. Let's just say that.
Yeah, so that's 3 spots for Kip right there.
All right, so D-Slub is in the pits. Dinosaur has already overtaken him. and Dinosaur is set to go to the end. So Dinosaur extremely in an extremely strong position now. So even if it does rain, Dinosaur will have the net lead. Let's see where D-Slub ends up exiting the pits with Will Grizzle very close behind, only 2 seconds after they cross the exit of the pit lane. And looks like they're going through lapping Token Timmy. So D-Slub in a good position to keep that second place with a fresher set of tires.
Yeah, I think the gap was about 15 seconds between Dinosaur and DS-Love. Dino on Horn mediums, fuel saving, and DS-Love on fresh softs, not having to fuel save one bit, so we'll see that gap drop for sure, but whether it's 15 seconds a time, not sure.
Yeah, and there's 7 laps left, so it's just over 2 seconds per lap that D-Slub needs to gain on Dinosaur to the end of this race. And it might be possible. We'll see. We'll keep a close eye on there, but it looks like the gap is not particularly dropping too quickly. As I say that, like, he gains half a second just through Spoon, so
Yeah.
it might be enough.
Yeah, he might be able to take the fastest lap away from Jacob though, regardless. That fastest lap has been there since just after the track dried out. Little Jacob put a set of softs on, and while the track was drying, got a 201 in there, so. Oh, clipping the grass a bit there with the outside tire.
Super sketchy. So let's take a look at Dinosaur's tires. Dinosaur's about 50% of the way through with his tires. He's gonna really have to nurse these tires. Like his lap times are gonna drop significantly towards the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
D-Slub though, those soft tires are gonna fall off pretty quickly too. I think both of them are gonna have pretty close to dead tires by the end of this race.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing to think about, right? It's like how hard is he gonna push to make up 15 seconds of time within 7 laps, and then have tires left to overtake?
Yeah. I mean, if they both have dead tires, I mean, it'll be an even playing field. But just in the 1 lap that we've been observing D-Slub, he's definitely gained 2 seconds. So it's going to be close. It's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if I was in Dinosaur's situation right now, seeing that gap close, I'd try and fuel save even more so that I would have fuel for a last lap battle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22, or like, you know,
yeah,
double negative situation where when you have to fuel save, you're gonna go slower, and that allows D-Slub to catch up even sooner. It's gonna be very interesting to see if D-Slub can keep this up.
well, smashes that fastest lap time. Pretty close to his pull time, 201.2.
So that's Luke Fubar trying to get past, I think that's Token Timmy. Or is that, no, that's Token Timmy, yeah.
Yeah, Token Timmy is a lap behind, just behind little Jacob on the track right now, so it was a bit confusing there.
Oh man, that gap is falling quickly. It's 9 seconds already. Okay, so I guess one good strategy is like, yeah, you fuel save quite a bit so that you can battle. But then also like there's the question of tires too, right? If Dinosaur conserves his tires as much as possible, and then when he battles it out with D-Slove, like D-Slove's tires will fall off quicker when they're battling together. But he also has the mediums. He's a more stiff, he has a harder compound than D-Slove. So he's still on track. He's now 9 seconds away from Dinosaur, and we have about 5 laps left. 4 laps, basically.
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of 26, there would have been no more VSCs can be called, so they don't have to worry about that at this point. It's just racing to the end. Really glad we didn't have any VSCs this race. We're able to see the strategies play out here. But yeah, because this is getting really interesting at the end.
Oh man, Dinosaur is saving his fuel and conserving tires as much as possible. You can see how much he's lifting in these corners and how much he's waiting to get back on throttle as well. He waits till he's almost completely straight to get back on throttle.
Yep.
So let's take a look at Cecil. Cecil's about 4 seconds behind with Grizzle. Cecil's lapping at about 2:05 on average. Well, Grizzle's last lap was at 2:10, so I don't know if that was just one mistake or if that was a result of tire wear. I think that might have been just a single mistake. But the laps before that, looks like what Grizzle was doing at 2:05, so they were lapping around the same time. Maybe Cecil a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think that mistake for Will Grizzle might have been due to tire wear, though. Definitely a factor.
Yeah, and Cecil has the tire advantage going into the closing laps, so I think they're going to be having a pretty intense battle by the end of the race as well.
Yeah, well, Grizzle having to save a lot more tires in 3 laps than Dinosaur does right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Starting to get to that point, though, where the tire wear of Dinosaur and DS Love is starting to even out, though. DS Love's softs, after pushing for, 5 laps now, are probably getting pretty overheated on the front, increasing the wear, of course.
Yep. Yeah, he's basically at the point where they're even, but he still maintains an advantage because he's on soft tires. And so they're going to be strategically even when he's just past Dinosaur's tire wear. So at this moment, his rear tires are looking pretty good, but his fronts are about the same as Dinosaur's.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were talking about this at the beginning of the race with the advantage of tire wear and having uneven tire wear for the cars, the front engine cars. And this might actually be the deciding factor of this race.
Yep. DS Love is gonna have to start being really easy on on the steering, and he's gonna want to push for the last 2 laps and a bit here, but probably knows that doing that he won't have any tires left at the end.
Yeah. Oh man, this is gonna be really close, but Dinosaur has 2 laps left and is still maintaining that 4-second lead, and it seems like D-Slov's advantage has definitely gone away, so he's not going to be 2 seconds faster than Dinosaur every lap going forward. So Dinosaur looking pretty good to the end here. He's maintaining that 4-second advantage for the past half a lap so far. Let's check in on Wagrizzle. So Wagrizzle has opened up the gap actually to Cecil Turtle a little bit. Cecil Turtle maybe made a mistake or something. His lap was a 2:07 last lap. And Kip, though, looking pretty hungry for that 4th position. Kip ran a 2:03 or 2:03.9 last lap, and Cecil was in the 2:07, so that's a pretty big difference. Enough that would allow Kip to potentially overtake Cecil on the final lap.
Yeah, that's another gap we'll see close towards the end there.
Oh man, so the gap is closing. Dinosaur is feeling the pressure. It's now 2.5 seconds, so it was 4 at the beginning of this lap, and it's now 2.5. Oh my god, this is gonna be so close. Dinosaur is gonna have to have a perfect lap this lap. Both of them will, to have any chance of winning this race.
Those front tires are just barely hanging on here. I think it's going to be similar to Killapro's lap we saw a couple stints ago, where his front right just went at the end of the S's.
Yep. And look at that, Dinosaur still has a little bit of tire life left on those fronts, and opened up the gap about half a second coming out of the Casio triangle. The Dinosaur looking really nice, really good right now. Looking forward to potentially adding another one of those golden tooths on Rexy's teeth.
Yeah.
But I won't speak too soon. We got the battle between Cecil and Kip heating up.
Cecil just understeering through the first half of that corner. Kip gaining a ton of ground there.
I'm going to switch between him and Dinosaur very often. Also, Dinosaur opened it up, so it looks like D-Slov must have made a mistake or something. Or maybe not even made a mistake. Looks like that front tire just was enough to slow him down enough.
Yeah, the front right is gone. Yeah. Having to crawl through the hairpin there, and yeah, the gap's just opening up even more now.
That is so funny. We were talking about the tire, the difference between the tire wear of these two formats, and that was literally the decider of this race.
That's exactly what happened.
Wow.
Dinosaur only a few more corners to worry about now. Going towards 130R. Nice big lift in there to make sure he stays on the track, no issues there. And through the chicane of the Casio triangle. Super easy on the throttle, waiting ages there to get back on.
Yeah. Oh my god. What an epic drive for Dinosaur. I don't even know where he started. He started third, right? Started third.
Yeah.
And ended up winning the race. Cecil Turtle there, D-Slov finishing in second place, having that intense battle with Dinosaur and Cecil and Kip towards the beginning of this race. Wagrizzle keeping it on the track with those front tires pretty much completely gone. Wagrizzle, we were talking earlier in the race about how he was going to potentially finish in the podium, and then Kip Dunkel, though, almost gets around Cecil Turtle on the final turn as they both cross the finish
Nearly
line.
had it.
Yeah, he nearly had it. Solid drive by Killer Pros to finish in 6th place. And that was a epic race. So Luke Fubar crosses the line in 7th place. Lou in 8th. Soul Shock VR takes it home in 9th. Bishop still with that front left damage. Looking to take the 10th position home for Azul Racing. Nursing that car home.
And Matsky bringing it home in 11th place. Didn't
feel like
have
we didn't
quite
see
the luck as last week. Got 2nd place last week after a late safety car.
Yeah, and I feel like this week had a very uneventful race, so maybe we didn't get to see much of his action today. It was all kind of like up at the front today. But little Jacob crosses the line in 12th. Unfortunate situation. I think that mistake that he made with the fueling in the pit stops cost him probably around like a 30-second, 40-second pit stop. So
Yeah.
Jacob was right in that battle with the top 5 at the beginning of the race, and now ended up in 11th. So it's an unfortunate situation for Jacob. All right. Wow, what an intense and eventful race. I hope D1 will be just as eventful. Let's take a quick look at the results one more time. Again, these are all provisional race results. We go through incident reports and we'll apply any penalties after the fact if necessary. But Dinosaur takes home the first place. D Slub finishes in 2nd place and takes the fastest lap, while Grizzle rounds out the podium. Cecil Turtle in 4th place, almost looking like he was going to win the race at the beginning of the race with the strategy of, I think he potentially started on the racing mediums. I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to kind of look at the replay to double check. Kip Dunkel in 5th, Phil Pros in 6th, so solid results by HHR Racing. Luke Fubar in 7th place, Lou in 8th, Soul Shock VR in 9th place, Mosky rounding out the top 10, Little Jacob finishing in 11th, Lamb King in 12th, Token Timmy in 13th. Oh, and Bishop, wait, how does that work? Bishop?
He was in 10th, but either disconnected after crossing the line or left the lobby early. But he did cross the line in 10th place.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I was going crazy for a second. I was like, what? Okay, with that, any closing remarks, Toasty?
Yeah, just really great job by Dino. I mean, he was able to keep calm and drive it home to strategy. So yeah, really well done by him. Then HHR also getting the really good team points. So yeah, really good driving all around today.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see just as much action for our sake, but not necessarily your sake, Toasty, for D1. Good luck in your race. And
all right, thank you.
we will see you soon. So for those watching, we will end the stream here and then restart it right away. So don't go anywhere. Our Division 1 race will start in about 15 minutes. So hang tight.